Is it a Pixel 3? Is it a MacBook? No, it's a JVC Averio hard disk camcorder. Hi, welcome to Let's Fix JVC Averio hard disk camcorders. This thing apparently was accidentally erased and a load of footage was lost from its internal hard drive. I've been asked to try and recover it. So I didn't even know you could get camcorders with built-in hard disks. I mean, it literally says it has a hard disk in it. So this isn't like, I mean, we've got an SD card in here, but apparently it has an internal hard disk, which is quite impressive. I'm guessing it's there or something. But yeah, that is not 2.5 inch wide. I mean, here is a 2.5 inch laptop drive, so they haven't crammed one of those into it. So my guess is that they have a 1.8 inch hard drive in there. So what I'm thinking is if I can remove some covers and get to that hard disk drive and connect it up to a computer, we can try and run Autopsy on it and get that data back. It's just been formatted, so theoretically Autopsy can probably find all of the footage that's on there. So let's see if we can get this thing open and get into it. I'm going to start by trying to remove the strap, if that's possible. I don't know if that's possible. However the hell that was put on. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's got to come out through all of that. Okay, let's do this. Okay, I think that's enough access. Let's start taking screws out. So in a way it's quite clever to put a hard drive in a camcorder, and in a way it's not really a very good idea. It's cool because it means that you've got loads of onboard storage and you don't need to buy an enormous SD card for it. But it's also a terrible idea because mobile devices need to be expendable. And if you give people lots of internal storage on their phone, or in this case their camcorder or whatever, then they're just going to store everything on the camcorder and not back up anything because it's all here on the device. And then something happens to the device and they lose all of their data. And they go, and I'm like, well, why didn't you back any of it up? And that's the thing, if you're backing up, you don't need to store all of this stuff on the device. So, yeah, I'm in two minds. I should probably be keeping track of where these screws come from, but looks like there's only two types. We'll figure it out. I'm just taking out screws at random now and just seeing what starts opening up. Something coming off there. There we go. That was easy. And I was bang on the money. That is a 30 gigabytes? The hell is the point in that? You can just buy a 32 gig SD card. Oh well. Well, that is a 1.8 inch hard drive. And these little dudes pop up now and then in some laptops. It was seen in the first and second gen MacBook Air. It also appears in some of the 11 inch and maybe 13 inch HP EliteBooks, and it's also made an appearance in the Dell Latitude 11 inch laptops as well. So yeah, these things are slow as balls. It's 3600 RPM. So yeah, and I don't think I've seen a 5400 RPM one of these before. They're horrifying, basically. They're kind of a novelty, these guys. They were kind of good because they came along just when flash storage just wasn't really quite viable, and they kind of filled the niche gap, but flash storage obviously very rapidly crashed in price and suddenly made these things completely obsolete. But yeah, it's a kind of an interesting little device. It is just, it's a dinky, where's a reference thing? There we go, there's a biro. There's a reference point for the size of this thing. And again, for those of you who are in tech, there's a 2.5 inch hard drive such as you'd find in a laptop. So yeah, right, let's get this guy out and see how the hell to hook it up, because these things have exotic connectors on. You'll see in a minute. Right, I'm going to put those two screws back in because they didn't need to come out. And we'll put in all the screws on the bottom that didn't need to come out either. Alright, and just for posterity, I may as well just take off the mounts for this thing just so you can see the bare drive. They're kind of cute, these things. It's a shame that they're terrible because they are super cool. I think the other place that these drives made an appearance is these things were used in the iPod Classic. You know, when the iPod Classic was a thing, and you had a portable music player with 80 gigabytes of storage and 120 in some of them, people were like, how do you fit that much in there? And the answer is a 1.8-inch hard drive. They're pretty cool, really. It's just a shame they're balls slow. Right, so you might be asking yourself, how the Jeffries do you hook that thing up to a computer? Well, what we're going to do is, firstly, I'm going to open up another 1.8-inch hard drive that I have. This is my Apple Service Diagnostics drive for the eagle-eyed viewers, and this is in fact a 1.8-inch drive. I've actually got a 1.8-inch SSD in this, which was from a MacBook Air conversion. However, this thing does actually have the adapters for a 1.8-inch hard drive in. Now the problem is there are a couple of different ribbons you get on it, so the chances are this ain't gonna work. But I thought we'll check it out, we'll see if it's got the right connector on it, because if it does, we're laughing. If it doesn't, I'm going to have to buy an adapter online, which I'm probably willing to do for the data recovery. Oh no, that's not going to happen. Yeah, not at all. Alright, so as you can see, same dealio. This is a 1.8-inch form factor. However, as you can see, it's an SSD, just a bare drive. But yeah, that's got a completely different connector on it. Now I would wager, now this is SATA low insertion force, so I wonder, because this has got the long connector on it, this must be the IDE equivalent or the parallel ATA equivalent. So if I search for parallel ATA LIF or parallel ATA ZIF, zero insertion force, then that will probably be the ticket. But this particular adapter, this isn't going to help me. So we've got to buy one online. Alright, let's hit up eBay and find ourselves an adapter. So as I mentioned, there's a couple of different cable types and sort of types of these drives. So the first thing I want to do is find out what we've got. So let's just quickly open up just a Google search page. So new tab, and I'm just going to search. Now let me just do this a sec. There we go. It's going to be a little bit psychedelic for a moment, just so you guys can see what I'm typing in the search bar. Anyway, so this is a model HTC 36803. 36803. Let's just search for that and see what comes up. Oh boy, did I get that right? HTC 36803. Yeah. OH5CE 00. How about that? There we go. Technical details for disk. Have a look at that. Alright, so blah blah blah. Ultra ATA 33. Oh, look at that. 33 megs per second. What? That's fantastic. That is. But yeah, Ultra ATA, that's the bit that's interesting. That's the bit that we care about. That is parallel ATA, or more commonly known as IDE. IDE is technically incorrect. IDE means integrated drive electronics, and all hard drives have integrated drive electronics. It means it's got a circuit board on the bottom of it. However, so technically, when you say IDE, what you really mean is parallel ATA. But anyway, this confirms that this is an IDE equivalent drive. Okay, so that being said, let's hit up eBay. So let's go for 1.8 for 1.8 inch, and we're going to search for IDE. I'm going to search for ZIF because it should be a ZIF adapter. Okay, right. So we've got 1.8 inch to IDE 3.5. That looks pretty good. That's from China. Can we find something in the UK? I'll buy from China if I have to, but I'd rather not, just because it takes 3 weeks to arrive. So to micro IDE, I don't have an adapter for micro IDE, so that's no good to me. to 2.5 inch IDE. That looks good. What's that? Right, here's an interesting one, because this one says 50 pin. Oh no, that's 50 pin compact flash, so that's fine, because compact flash and the 1.8 inch drives are very easy to adapt as well, so that's quite commonplace. Then moving down a bit, we've got another Zithu 3.5 inch IDE. That one looks less convenient though, because it needs Molex power. Considering I have 2.5 inch IDE adapters already, this one is far more useful to me. However, if you didn't have a 2.5 inch adapter, but you did have a 3.5 inch adapter, that'd be more useful. So let's take a closer look at this one. So costs a £5, and yeah, that looks fine. So that's a pretty simple device, to be honest. We've got the 44 pin IDE adapter, which is 40 pins of IDE plus 4 power pins. Then we've got a voltage regulator to cut the 5 volt that 2.5 inch drives run on down to 3.3 volts for our drive. And presumably the ribbon connector is on the back of it. Have we got another picture? Yeah, there you go. And then the ribbon's on the back of it. So let's figure out if that ribbon cable is the right width or not, because they're all going to be different widths, and that's where we're going to come a gut stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my 2.5 inch IDE adapter, which very annoyingly is in use. I'm doing data recovery with it on another drive at the moment, so I'm going to go and measure it. So the 2.5 inch connector is near as damn it 45 millimeters across. So this thing is 45 millimeters across. So if we estimate that, that is going to be about 20 mil. So this guy is probably slightly longer than 20 mil wide. And if I then measure the drive, we've got a connector that is 24 millimeters. That'll do nicely. So from that, I can guesstimate that this is probably the right one. Now that might sound like a horrible guesstimation, but with the amount of information you have on these and the awkward variations that you see, you know, that's the best you can kind of really manage. So yeah, let's quick check the description. So 44 pin, yeah, 1.8 inch PATA ZIF, that's what we got for iPod, PDA, etc, etc. IDE bus is not hot swappable, that's fine, we're not expecting it to be. So yeah, and then also, what is that jumper that we've got there? What is that all about? Does it mention? No, it doesn't. What does that jumper do? That jumper might be a master-slave cable select jobby, because of course technically you could hook this up to a proper IDE ribbon cable, a proper parallel ribbon cable, and then you could select master slaves. That's probably what that jumper's all about. Either way, that looks good. I'm gonna buy it. I'll see you guys in a couple of days. All right, my adapter has showed up. All £4 worth of it. Yeah. All of these blades are blunts. Okay. Interesting. So we've got two different ribbons for it.
Just a quick note in editing, the reason why there are two cables, one of them is LIF, low insertion force, and the other is ZIF, zero insertion force. The connector on the adapter is zero insertion force, and it has a little locking bar that opens and closes. The connector on the hard drive is low insertion force because you have to push the cable into the connector.
I'm not sure why we have two different ribbons. I wonder if those pictures are slightly different. No, they look identical. Oh well, I'll take a closer look at that in a minute. So this thing is pretty threadbare. Let's give you guys a close-up. So it's pretty much exactly what we saw on the eBay auction. We've got just literally a load of pins soldered onto the board there. Those all go straight back into this connector. As you can see, the actual pin out is more or less just pin to pin there. And on the other side here, the only thing we've really got is a couple of activity LEDs. We've got a power LED and an activity LED, and this is literally just a 5 volt to 3.3 volt regulator, and that's about it. That's all you need. All we really need is literally just the pin adapter. So what's that warning saying? Alright, this jumper is only used for Hitachi Travel Star series, such as C3K80, C4K, C4K, okay, and Open Master Closed Slave. Okay, so it is a master slave thing, which is what we did think it was. However, that doesn't look like a Travel Star to me. That doesn't start with any of the part numbers aforementioned. So unhelpfully, this doesn't say what you set the jumper to if you don't have a Travel Star. So we'll leave it on close first, and we'll just see if it works. If it doesn't work first time, we'll try it with the jumper off. So yeah, right. How about these ribbons then? So slightly concerned that the ribbon looks a bit different there. What we'll do is we'll remove this ribbon and we'll try using the one that came with it. So the pins are facing toward me. Alright, that one doesn't seem to fit in. Let's try this one, which seems to have a thinner bit on the end there. There we go, I think that's going in. Right, it didn't go in very far. However, I've closed the locking lever and that's not coming out now. So it must have some pins pressing into it. Let's give it a whirl, let's see if it works. $1 million question, which way up does this guy go? Because they haven't put in the missing pin. Right. Okay, now this pin here is not connected. That doesn't go to anything. There's no trace coming off of it. So that is most likely the missing pin that you get on the 2.5-inch connector. Yeah, that definitely lines up. We've actually got to remove that blanking pin ourselves. There we go, the deed is done. Alright, USB, let's go. Alright, we have a green light. I have a power light on my USB adapter. Nothing else happening. That doesn't look very convincing to me. Has the computer detected anything? I'm not convinced by this. Oh! I just got a hardware detected boop. Oh, it's got something. Here's my disk management, and we've got a disk 3 unknown not initialized has just popped up. Right, now that is slightly unexpected. However, we have a read on the disk now. So now we're in a position where we can actually start attempting data recovery on this thing. Okay, right, so with an uninitialized drive, we can't really do anything. So we're going to initialize the drive before we do anything else. This is fairly safe to do, to be honest, for data recovery. This is just going to write a new master boot record, which is fine. That's not going to affect the data on the drive. So let's go ahead and MBR it. Device is not ready. I'm not convinced about our rig. By Jove, I think we've got it. All right, I turned the hard drive over, so I had the hard drive the wrong way around. So effectively, I had pin 1 to pin 44. Now, you can get away with that. There's power on the pin 1 to 4. However, it's not high enough, and the drives will tolerate being connected the wrong way around. You do get away with it. So not ideal, but you get away with it. Anyway, the point is, look at this. Averio hard HDDs. So yes, it's working. So have we got anything? Let me grab a Finder window. All right, so here's our drive, and as we can see, it's well, there's something there. We have a file structure here. Folder is empty. Private. There is some data there. This is probably camera settings and stuff like that. SD video. And again, that's just some info. It's basically empty. Right, so we've got a mounted drive. We've got something to work with. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start up a program called Autopsy, which is a free open source data recovery program. And we're going to use Autopsy to scan this drive to see if it can find the lost data on it. So let's get that started. Okay, so we want to create a new case. And we're going to save the contents to, have I got enough space on my SSD? I should do. Yeah, that's fine. So we need up to 30 gigabytes because we've got a 30 gigabyte drive. So let's start with, so case name, we'll just call this camcorder. Of course, if I was a real data recovery place, I'd be giving it case names and stuff like that. We're not too fussed about that. Right, single user, that's fine. Yes, I do want to create that directory. Okay, so case number can be 1, examiner can be Graham. That's me. Okay, finish. So now it's going to ask us for our data source. Now, obviously, if we didn't have a mounted drive, this bit would be a lot trickier. Like if we had that uninitialized drive, we'd have a much harder job ahead of us. We'd need to try and DD the drive or otherwise make a copy of it from an uninitialized source. And that is a lot trickier. I thankfully do not need to go into that right now. However, perhaps another time. Anyway, so we're going to load from a local disk. And we're going to select Averio hard drive. Okay, and I'm not going to ignore anything. We want to grab everything. Because it's only a 30 gigabyte drive, this shouldn't be too painful. If we were having to search like a terabyte hard drive, then obviously time would be a bigger deal. We might want to consider trying to narrow our search terms to narrow the results. But in this instance, to be honest, I'm probably just going to leave everything selected. Email parser, we're not worried about that. Android analyzer, I don't know what this thing is running. To be honest, I'm just going to leave this thing at just by default, and I'll just say just find whatever you can. Let's see what it finds. And process unallocated space as well. Yeah, go for it. Cool, next. All right, so that is now going to start scanning the drive for data. So this is going to take a while. So we're just going to leave it to run. Are you kidding me? What's this noise? Ingest cancelled. Okay, virtual machine extractor. Illegal character. Alright, well that's fine. We don't need to try and recover any virtual machines. Okay. Data source has been added. Files are being analysed. Okay. Have we got any results yet? Ooh. We got a lot of interesting looking files there. They're in orphaned files. Well, that'll do it. That's the data I'm looking for. Those look like movies to me. Right, let's extract one at random and see what we get. So let's start with everything that's listed for MOV1, because I don't know how much of these we need for a functional file. So let's right click and extract those. Yeah, and we're going to put them in export for now. Alright, those are extracting. Files extracted. Mod files. Let's see if this will play. And let's play it in VLC. Okay, right. I can't show you what I'm seeing because it's got clients' faces on it. However, we have a plain movie file. I'm just going to pause this a sec. I've cut half of it off just so you can't see anyone's faces, but there it is. We have a working movie file, so that's what we're after. That looks good to me. Right, okay, well, let's grab, to be honest, we may as well grab all of that, and I think we're done. So let's export the lot. So we'll start from movie 2, because we've already got movie 1. And we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom. Shift click, right click, extract files. And again, we're going to put them in the same place. Off it goes. Right, and there it is. That's all our data. Here's one of the photos that that was also in that orphan files list. So we've got some single snapshots. There's some grass because I picked that one out because obviously it doesn't have any faces in it. So the other thing to bear in mind is because we've recovered data, some of this stuff might be damaged. Some of these photos, for example, might be chopped off halfway. You'll notice that half the photo is just grey. That means the file is damaged because it was partially overwritten or something like that. We may find that some of those videos don't play properly either. However, all in all, it's looking pretty good. One way that you can tell if all of your data is rubbish or not is if you sort by size. If we have a look, so up the top here, we've got files that range all the way up to 160 megabytes there, so that's pretty good going. And if we roll down to the bottom, we have got, I mean, some of these 1 kilobyte files, they're probably just like data files or something. I don't understand how this format works, but whatever. But also, if you see like you've got a whole list of files that are, for example, 0 kilobytes in size, a 0 kilobyte file, that's not successful. That's got nothing in it. So if your entire directory listing is all full of 0 size files, you're not done yet. You're not finished. However, by here, you know, those 1 kilobyte files, they're fine. We've got a load of photos and we've got a load of movies here that are all like 20, 40, 100 megabytes in size. That all looks absolutely fine to me. Op success. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye for now.